I like the narrative when it comes to Jasmy, and even though nothing I say is financial advice, the reason why is because of something called Junction. Now, some people may be wondering, okay, what is that, right? Allegedly, Junction is an incubation project under Jasmy, and it's a layer 2 for decentralized AI. This is very amazing, but before I get into why I think AI could be so fantastic, let me explain a little bit more about Junction, because what this basically does is that it allows users to share their GPU. Now, GPU stands for graphic processing unit, but even besides that, again, allows them to share their GPU resources for rendering AI tests. Now, people may be thinking, okay, why is this good? It's because this kind of vibe right here, it's very similar to a project called Render. And I'm very bullish on Render, by the way. But even besides that, again, if someone actually knows Render, it's kind of like a little bit of the same thing. Because if we take a look at Render, basically their kind of main objective, I would arguably say, is allowing for users to provide unused GPU power to help projects render motion graphics and visual effects. And again, we've known about the success of Render, even despite, the pullback that we generally saw when it comes to altcoins. But I'm just saying, Render did very well. And we see something like this when it comes to Jasmy. This is very amazing. Now, when it comes to Junction, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, in my opinion, because I want to see it kind of fully operate in sort of like a fifth gear type of thing before I really can evaluate it. This is just my perspective because there's still, again, a lot of unanswered questions. What will it really be like moving forward? We don't know. With Render, we kind of do know because it's already kind of like, doing its thing. But I'm just saying, there's still a lot of unanswered questions here. But then it still gets me excited nonetheless because I've seen what Render did. And then when it comes to this, could it maybe become like a miniature version of Render? Who knows? But this is what I like about Jasmy because traditionally, when we think about Jasmy, at least when I do, I think about a project that is focused on decentralizing data storage. I don't really think about like AI, you know what I mean? I don't really think about, hey, maybe it can have something surrounding it that could maybe, again, become a miniature version of Render or whatever. I don't think about that. But then I kind of do now. So this is what I like about it. Jasmy is a project that is not stuck in their ways in a sense that they're willing to evolve. They're willing to kind of, I would say, go with the times, really. Because many other projects out there in Jasmy's position, they wouldn't even entertain stuff like this. They don't care. You know what I mean? But then I see like, even the CFO of Jasmy even posting on X about this type of stuff. So I think Jasmy really has a fantastic team, really, because we take a look at their team. It does include individuals who worked at places like KPMG. KPMG is one of the big four accounting firms, so that's massive. Not to mention as well, we've seen many of Jasmy's team work at places like Sony. So when I take a look at it, it's a fundamentally amazing project, in my opinion, that is willing to evolve, not to mention amazing team. This is like a no-brainer for me, really. And again, I'm not telling anyone to buy Jasmy, but this is just the way I take a look at this project. And what I like about AI so much is that the AI market, according to Granby Research, is predicted to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030. I mean, let's just imagine that. That is very amazing right there. So when I think about that, really, Jasmy is doing the right moves. You know what I mean? It's making the right moves in the chess, game, right? When we're playing chess. But even besides that point, I think they're making strategic moves, and really a dollar wouldn't surprise me whatsoever during this bull run, even though nothing I say is financial advice. And the reason why I think so is because when I take a look at all the stuff Jasmy's doing, I don't think this is too much to ask for, because even if it were to go to the price of a dollar, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $50 billion, and it's actually around a 67x from here. Now, some people like to ask me, why don't you wait for Jasmy to go to the price of like 20 or 30 cents or whatever before you believe in this? Well, that's not my style, because I don't want to miss out on all that action along the way. This is the way I take a look at it. Not to mention, why isn't around a $50 billion market cap, I think, something too outlandish? It's because we've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap back in 2021, and I feel like the factors were way less bullish than right now. And also on top of that, I feel like, if let's say many people are saying, Dogecoin's going to go to like 150, 160 billion or whatever in terms of market cap during an upcoming altcoin season, if they're speculating this, which I see a lot of people do, are we saying that like around 50 billion is too much to ask for when it comes to Jasmy in terms of market cap? This is just the way you take a look at it. And Jasmy, in my opinion, when we think about a project that is focused on decentralizing data storage, I would arguably say that Jasmy is the coolest and most interesting one, maybe, because many people would argue that Filecoin is number one, but really in terms of cool factor, in terms of being like interesting and unique, I think Jasmy does hold that place. So I do really like that. And amazingly enough, right, Jasmy actually doesn't have that many competitors within its space because we have to take a look at how, of course, there's Filecoin, like I mentioned before, there's Jasmy, of course, we're talking about it, but then there's like Arweave, you know, Siacoin Storj or Storage, depending on how some people pronounce it. It's actually spelled like STORJ, but then some people call it storage, but then some people say Storj, whatever. Again, besides that point, that's not that many competitors, really. I mean, we're not talking about like 10, 20, 30, 40, like in some cases that we see in the case of like, meme coins, AI projects, blockchain gaming, all this. We don't really see that much. Again, I'm talking about like decentralizing data storage more specifically. So Jasmy doesn't have that many competitors, and then it's willing to branch out to other markets beyond just like, data storage. This is something that I do really like about Jasmy because let's face it, even though the data storage market, according to Fortune Business Insights, is expected to nearly reach $800 billion by 2030, even despite that, it's not really a cool or interesting market. Like in a sense, I don't see anyone trying to enter the world of cryptocurrencies to be focused on projects that are, trying to decentralize data storage. So then, Jasmy, again, kind of branching out, it showcases that they're able to move with the times, and that makes sense. And we have to think about this, right? According to Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, back in November last year, he said that 1 to 2 years from then, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Could you imagine that? That's a worst case, price prediction for Bitcoin in that example, 250,000, and best case scenario timeline, November this year. I mean, I'm not saying Charles is going to be correct, but then if someone is the co-founder of Ethereum and the founder of Cardano and they say something like that, I'm going to pay attention. And if, let's say, Jasmy, of course, hypothetically still has attention at that time, which I'm maybe assuming it might, have, right? And let's say Bitcoin reaches 250,000 at least, maybe in that example, are we saying $1 is too much to ask for? That right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, but really it's just a waiting game and I'm willing to wait. I'm still acquiring Jasmy, I'm still holding, and I'm just waiting. That's it. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.